had 9 pounds of onions to process today, so I recruited my son and my husband to help me out. And my son washed all of the jars for me while I got those going and sterilizing in the water bath canner. I added a splash of vinegar as always, and then I started on the brine, which was pretty much just vinegar and sugar and a little bit of salt, and I got that in a rolling boil. And then from there, my husband was working on chopping up all of those onions with the mandala, and we had this huge, ginormous bowl of onions. So from there, I started to fill my jars. Remember, when you're pickling anything, that you have more room in the jars than you think. So when it's full, press it down and get as much as you can get in there, because once you process these, like I said, you're going to have more room than you think. They kind of shrink up a little bit after you process, so just really, really pack it in there. So that's what I did, and I managed to get all of those onions in 7 jars. So once all the onions were in there, then it was time to add our spices, and this is what I put in there. I started with mustard seed. I did a teaspoon of mustard seed in each jar. And keep in mind, if you're using smaller jars, then obviously you're not going to use quite as much. Then I used black peppercorn medley. I use the medley because I don't really feel like it makes a difference. But if you want, just use straight black peppercorn, whatever you want to do. And then I added a bay leaf to each jar as well. And again, if you're using smaller jars, use less of these ingredients. Then I added 2 to 3 garlic cloves per jar, depending on how big the cloves were. But honestly, I love garlic, so you could add more if you wanted. Then I went ahead and filled it up with the brine that I made and debubbled it with a knife. Kind of stirred it all in there, made sure everything was good to go. Then I put on my lids and then my rings, finger tight, of course. And then I stuck those in the water bath canner for about 15 minutes. Since these were bigger jars, if you're doing smaller jars, you can get away with 10 probably. And I let them cook, and they all sealed up, and we ended up with 7 jars of pickled onions.